Welcome back to Geeks at the Nerd Table. Hey, look, we got a lot to talk about. It's the end of April. You know what that means. May is just around the corner, and celebrations has just finished. Whether you've listened to all the news, whether you believe it or not, we have a new show that's out. Let's talk about it. Let's see whether it actually lives up to the hype coming out of celebrations. We're talking Andor. All right. Hope you guys like that. We're so excited for our new title page. That's a little clip that I put together. So I hope you're enjoying it. It is fantastic artwork, and we cannot support our artists so much. Like, it's phenomenal. Give her some love. Tell us what you think of it because we're over the moon about it, and we'd love to hear what you guys are thinking as well. She did an amazing job with it, and it feels like us going to battle talking about these shows. Tonight, I'm flying solo though, so it's just me, Frank, for the pod tonight. But we're talking about Andor. Andor is going to release as a beast of a show for the next 4 weeks. We get not one, not two, but 3 episodes dropped all together as one. Uh, each individual episode is running about 40 minutes. It's feeling like altogether a movie, really. But somehow each episode needs to stand alone as an episode. Uh, I know as I first watched it, it didn't feel like season one. Season one, the first 3 episodes, you needed to watch continuously from one episode to the next to really keep you captivated for those first 3 episodes. I honestly believe these first 3 episodes are hitting it out of the park. The pacing, the feel of it is fantastic. It's not a drag. It's not a slog into this universe. It is picking up and going. You're getting different scenes and scenarios, and there's really kind of 4 sets of things going on right now. You have Andor that is out on a mission. He's trying to get this, let's call it a prototype TIE fighter. We don't know exactly what it is. We haven't seen any little flash or title. We haven't had anybody say what he's after. We know he's in a pilot's uniform. We know he has a mole inside that is setting it up so that he can actually get this ship. We're getting fantastic little interactions there. And then probably one of the craziest scenario scenes of a TIE fighter we get in Star Wars. But before you get to that, we jump to what's going on with our senators. Mamatha, we're jumped into a wedding. This is a crazy party that's going on, and you get this feel of the rich, the glam of Star Wars. In Star Wars, you kind of have 2 sides to it. You have the downtrodden and kind of like the poor, the peasantry. And then you have this upper class that is living high on the hog, that whether they are for the empire or not, are enjoying all the privileges of it. But I think that changes with this season, with this show. We get a third group. We jump into where the rest of Andor's, let's call them family, are. They're on this planet that's a grain planet. The entire planet is covered in grain, and they're working to produce food that the Empire is taking. It's such an interesting section. We're not talking about a planet that is just a city, that it is overpopulated and overdeveloped and doesn't have any natural land anymore. We're not talking about a ship that's the size of a moon or bigger, that is a city into its own right, kind of like an aircraft carrier. And we're not talking about a desert, barren wasteland. We're not talking about the poorest of the poor. We're not talking about the richest of rich. We're talking about these people that are essentially middle class in this galactic universe and just out there doing their thing, working on the equipment, working on the farm, growing bread, growing grain that could be turned into bread, and I'm sure turned into all the other things that they create. That's a food substance. Uh, we get this interesting middle class kind of Star Wars that I don't think we've ever really seen before. We kind of every now and then see like the shipyards, but everyone in it kind of feels like you're either a droid or you're this lower class that's just, you got to go work, you got to do your thing, you got to make some credits. Now we kind of get this little bit of like, you have your own schedule, you make your own time. We see them have a feast, or not really a feast. It's more of like their weekend dinner or their daily dinner kind of thing where everybody's gathering together and hanging out and eating and talking and not really celebrating, but at least enjoying the time that they have there. Where flip side, you have the rich that are having this blowout of a wedding celebration, and all along you have different characters joking about you have to pace yourself. It's a multi-day ordeal and you have to pace yourself. These people like to party. And this is all given to you in episode 1. You get all of this, and the fourth scene that you see is the setup of the Empire and what's going on behind the scenes. You get to see uh, Governor Talcon or General Talcon in this meeting that is to set up a scenario and to figure out how they can mine an entire planet. They're given this presentation. And in this presentation, it's kind of feels like an old 1940s, like, look at these people, look at what they're doing. A PR video of who this planet is and what's its importance. The people themselves mean nothing to them. The product that they create, which is silk and clothing, they don't care about. What they care about is a renewable energy, an infinite energy source. And as much as they've tried to create a synthetic version of this infinite energy source, it doesn't work. I wonder why they need a infinite energy source. Clearly, it's for the Death Star. The show's a little bit interesting because we know where it's going. We know the whole point of it. We know who these characters are and where they fall. we now get to see the story of how they get there. So here's a question. Are you an ending person or are you the story person? I think that matters a lot when it comes to this show. If you just want to jump to the ending, what's the point? We already know it. But if you want to come along for the ride and you want to talk about the stories and the little intricate details that go into it in the middle, this show is filling that in. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, we're just got to get to the Death Star plans. Why are we not there yet? No, we're sucked into this, at least I was sucked into this 4-part story. The story of what Andor is doing, what his family is doing, what the governors are doing, or the senators, I mean, are doing, and then what is this small ring of the Empire doing, and what are they trying to do? Where are they trying to go? Throughout the 3 episodes, we build on each of those stories. Episode 1, it is the great escape of the TIE fighter, this experimental TIE fighter. We get Caspian Andor right into the ship, and he's trying to turn it on, and he can't. He doesn't know what to do. It's different than what he expects, and he's essentially video game button mashing and causing all sorts of problems until he kind of figures out a couple combos. You know, I hit this button and I get the uppercut. I can do a kick, sweep, and move. But he's doing that with laser guns and torpedoes and rockets and stuff, kind of making havoc of this escape. It was meant to be kind of get in, get out. Did not get that. He got in. He had to blow a hole in the side of the door to get out, and took a lot of stormtroopers with him. You know, a decent amount of stormtroopers come out and they all end up getting obliterated by a wild ship and a pilot that has no clue what he is doing with it. So much so to the point that he literally uses it like a sled down the mountain side until he eventually figures out how to get this thing off the ground and flying a bit, to which he is flying through an extremely tight canyon where this ship is taking some damage. It's getting bumped around and hit around, and it actually looks like it can survive. Clearly, this is why the Empire is trying to make these, because we know TIE fighters, you look at them and they kind of blow up. There's so many times that the rebels have just destroyed them left and right, and it's like, yeah, does the Empire really actually put that much money into these things? Clearly, the rebels are stealing or buying the better equipment, or at least the equipment that is going to help them win the war. And maybe the Empire is maybe it's a little corrupt, and there's some stealing of the equipment. Not the case when it comes to this TIE fighter. It is definitely one of kind. It is definitely experimental. Hell, maybe it's the experimental version of Darth Vader's TIE fighter. Maybe this is a first round draft. Maybe that's why his doesn't look like this later on, because it was stolen to begin with. That would be a really cool and interesting thing. Who knows? We'll see where it goes. I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to be left hanging on exactly what that TIE fighter is. From our understanding, this set of 3 is supposed to be 1 year, and we're supposed to jump to the next. Important thing to note is when the series starts off, we get a timestamp BBY 4. That is before the Battle of Yavin, which means we are 4 years out from the start of Star Wars as we know it. Uh, the original movie that released and everything that goes with it. So, time jumps. Maybe in the next set of 3, we'll get another year and we'll see where we are and what's going on. But keep on going with this. Andor is able to finally get this ship off the ground, get it to where he is supposed to take it to, and it seems like some things are not exactly right. He ends up landing on this planet that is a jungle planet. Uh, some might recognize it as a planet that the rebels build a base on later on. And there's kind of a lot of chaos going on. We don't really know what happened to the person or if these are the people that he is supposed to meet up with, but things go south very quickly. And these people have been stranded there for a while. And now they're kind of trying to get off the planet. There's monsters or beasts that are, picking them off one by one, and they're fighting each other. They're creating their own little faction and fighting over food and fighting over everything. One really cool thing as part of the scene is you get to see their space rations, space MREs maybe that they have. I know we've seen them in the sequel series, and we don't like to talk about that much. But it is a cool little thing that we see. Uh, a flip side of talking about the planet that is nothing but grain. You have a set of people that are literally starving to death, fighting over scraps, moldy scraps for that much. And then you have people that are growing it, that have more food around them than they know what to do with. Actually, they do know what to do with it. They're going to hand it over to the Empire because the Empire is going to basically force them to. When we jump to that scenario, uh, you have the rest of Andor's family trying to survive, staying low, acting as repair people, mechanics, working on the equipment. They're hiding their illegals on this planet. And that doesn't matter too much until the Empire comes around and does an inspection. So now we see a ship, and now we start hearing about the Empire doing these inspections, checking out what's going on the planet that is providing them with food. Kind of something that makes sense. Empire needs a lot of food, has a lot of people that it needs to feed as part of its army, a part of its governing body that is going to keep everybody in line. So you better keep track of that. You better have regular inspections and come around. And anyone that you don't really want there, you're going to actually check out and see if there's any problems. We flip back to our glitz and glamour of the wedding. And here you have all sorts of different faces popping up. Mamantha is kind of taken back by everything going on. She's had to have this moment with her daughter where she thinks she's going to make things better for her. She thinks her daughter is more like her and regretted her own wedding and regrets the lifestyle that they live. But she doesn't. It actually backfires on her. I think it's quite interesting that you have the same kind of scenario happen as she's telling her daughter of her mother on her wedding day being drunk and not really like looking out for her. So she takes this moment of like courage, I guess, to say, you could walk away right now. You don't have to do all of this. This is all ridiculous. It's all crazy. We shouldn't be doing this anyways. I shouldn't be pushing you into a marriage. But her daughter turns around and maybe says one of the most hurtful things to her because her emotion afterwards is definitely that she wished she was drunk. A crazy moment for Mama Athma and just heartache, really. You know, your own daughter is not who you think she is and really isn't like you at all. She's loving all of these aspects. She thinks she has a duty to this, and you're not the one that she actually really likes right now in this moment. She's excited to go through all this, but you've misguided or misinterpreted what she's feeling. It's kind of a crazy flip side where Mamathma was mad at her own mother, and her daughter is still mad at her when she thought she tried to do it the better way. Crazy experience. All while this is going on, we flip to our fourth set, which is our inspector and what's going on there. You have the original policeman from the first season that kind of flubbed everything, but then in the end ended up saving the life of our inspector, ending up together. We don't really get a exact like they get married. We just kind of get into a situation where they're living together and they're preparing for some sort of dinner. Jumping ahead into it, that dinner is actually with his mother, and it's a crazy scenario and a crazy kind of flip side here where his bride now actually puts his mother in place, and you see how his crazy OCD and uh PTSD from his mother and the life that he has lived kind of catches up with him until his wife is able to put her mother in her place, turning around and, you know, saying, "I will make sure he comes and gives you visits, but you need to keep your mouth shut now. You need to fall in line because I need him to do what he needs to do." And it kind of works. She kinda snaps on a dime and goes, "Yep, I'm gonna fall in line with this." Uh, maybe because she's threatened, maybe because she realizes the only way she's gonna see her son is if he actually plays along. You're talking about a secret investigator, essentially, that is high up in the Empire. She's in that original scene with all of the generals and admirals and key figures that are keeping this plan quite secret. She's, in fact, supposed to go and take care of it. I have a sneaking suspicion what that's going to be. I think this is a certain rebellion or a certain catastrophe that actually really pushes the rebellion off. Right now, the rebellion seems a little scattered. You have people doing little missions. Uh, we definitely get that by flipping back to this wedding where you see all of the people that are involved with the rebellion kind of scrambling and trying to figure out what's going on with Andor himself. They don't know where he is. They don't know if the mission's been a success. They don't know what's going on. Their contact is his family that is on this grain planet, which just got locked down because it's under investigation. It's under its normal rounds of imperial walkthroughs, shutting down all communications, shutting down all travel essentially in and out because they've shown up. Everybody is kind of scrambling and trying to figure out, well, how can we get information and worrying about it? At the same time, they're all being very cautious and careful of saying anything. You have a very interesting situation with the characters that we know having these double lives, playing their parts that they need to play in high society, all while trying to get quiet messages here and there off to one another and try to find out what the events of this mission are, what the outcome is, and where is Andor to begin with. They're left in the lurch, all while partying and being a part of this massive multi-day wedding celebration. Last episode ties it all together where Andor finally gets off the planet, finally gets to communicate out in the middle of space, nowhere around. And his handler basically says, don't go home and stop trying to contact them because the Empire is there, which sends him into a panic and sends him, who finally figured out how to fly the thing, even though he said, I just spent the last 4 days on my head upside down. So it kind of gives you some time frame that it's been some time. It's been the several days. We know when the first episode started, it's the beginning of the wedding party. It's supposed to be 3 or 4 days. So by the last episode, it's the end of it. Andor was stuck on a planet for maybe a day or two, probably about a day, while the seemingly rebels were all fighting one another. And now he's flying off to go save his family, or at least who he calls his family, who he really cares about like it's his family. You definitely get that Andor is not fully committed into the rebellion, but committed to the rebellion. He's doing his part and doing his job. I think something's going to have to turn from him to be absolutely committed, as opposed to, I'm doing my part, but now I need to go get them secure. You know, all of that goes on while the party still rages. You have a couple more interactions between the players in high society, and things kind of go south. Our main character here, Mama, ends up losing it, essentially. She has a breakdown. She can see the pieces falling around her, or at least what she thinks are the pieces falling around her, and she decides to get drunk. She just starts drinking left and right. I don't think we have seen this kind of behavior and seen in Star Wars, and where you just get a high society person go the hell with it and start slamming them back. Uh, we end their scenes with her wildly dancing and completely drunk. We flip back to Andor, and where he's going to meet up with the rest of his family on the planet of grain. And this planet, he is just coming in hot. He doesn't know the situation, but things have taken a turn for the worse over there. The inspection that's going on, these guys are kind of corrupt. They're taking advantage. They've been told, oh, sometimes they look the other way because they know that everybody's shorthanded and they really just need the people here to do the jobs, which Anders' family's kind of worrying about it. If they get found out, they get investigated into who they really are, maybe what they really did, because we all know they were part of the rebellion in the last season. And that's going to be a big thing. Empire needs control and they need to squash this rebel cells wherever they can find them. They don't need a resistance rising up against them. So they're panicking, end up killing one of the high ranking officers just in the nick time for Andor to fly in and light them up. They are not short on this season of willingness to take out some squishy stormtroopers, shooting them with big guns left and right. And some friends take a hit too. I think this is going to be a little bit of a push. I don't think it's totally there yet. Andor is able to save some and fly off into space, and that is the ending of everything. Not fully detailed. Go check it out if you haven't already. But this season is going to be interesting. It's a little bit of a whirlwind. There's a lot going on. There's also a lot of things that are little details behind everything. We're finding out certain locations, getting little drops of lore. The statue that was brought in was supposed to be stolen by a particular empire, not empire, but a particular race from the planet that it was brought back to from Mamathma's planet. And really, we're getting little tidbits of the greater extended universe or legends that many people love. Whether that is good or bad, you tell me. I feel it's interesting to build out the greater universe. Uh, one detail that's in there is the little pens that all of the admirals wear. They're not pens, they're keys. Many people may know that. And many people may know that how many you have there is actually how high and how much access you have in the Empire. But Andor is given a key, and that's exactly what it looks like. So they got a hold of one of those keys. I think that's telling us something about this ship. This is a high ranking ship. It's not just some ordinary TIE fighter. It has to be something more. I don't feel like we're going to find out more about it, though. I feel like We got it in this set of 3, knowing that each week's episodes are supposed to stand alone as a period in time. I don't think we're gonna find out more about that. I do, however, feel that we're gonna find another situation that pushes Andor further and further to the final point that we know that he gets. The journey is just beginning and it is quite interesting. Hey, listen, I'm enjoying it so far. Hopefully, I get some more of the geeks to be able to watch it. It's a crazy schedule to be able to get 3 episodes watched that are all an hour long. We're getting mini movies every single week, essentially, but they're not piecing it together like a mini movie. They're using the art form and the timing of a TV show so that we can get these quick snapshots and jumping back and forth between our main characters, the big players that are behind the scenes of the greater Star Wars story. Andor is a thrill ride right now. So join along with us. If you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, go back, watch the first 3 episodes. They're fantastic. There's a lot more in there than I have actually talked about. And we'll catch you on the flip side with it. Put down in the comments what you're thinking, what you're feeling. There's a big question here. Is Andor a good series or not? The community is divided. There's a 50-50 divide where last season, half the people said it wasn't so good. It was, in Larry's words, stupid. Yeah, Larry, looking at you. You tell me whether this series are stupid or not. Everybody else, maybe if you don't think it's stupid, tell Larry that it's not. Tell him to check it out. Tell him what you really think or feel about it. Join me on this adventure. Be sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Hit us up on all of our social medias as well as YouTube. Hey, there is something cool happening in about a week. May 3rd, free comic book day at Baby Gorillas. Jose, our newest member, owns Baby Gorillas. Check him out. Hang out with us. We'll be there. It's going to be a great time. Come by there and actually get some free comics and check out some other stuff. There's a lot of cool things going on. Artists, comic book artists, and cosplayers that are going to be there. There's a lot to do and see. So, May 3rd from 12 o'clock to 7 p.m. Check us out there. Make sure you guys grab that seat, pull it up to the table, and welcome to the conversation.